Welcome to episode 32. 42? It's 42, guys. Hey guys, welcome to episode 42 of the Knit Now Swatch Later podcast. My name is Courtney. Today is Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. This is a knitting podcast where I talk about all of my knitting and crocheting and whatever other crafting projects that I happen to be working on the last couple of weeks. I'm coming to you from Pennsylvania, where I live with my husband and our 2 dogs and 2 cats. You can find me on Ravelry as Pup and on Instagram as Knit Now Swatch Later. You can also find me on Etsy as White Rose Fiber Company. Links to everywhere that you can find me, along with anything that I chat about, product-wise, shop-wise, or other podcasts, will be linked in the description box down below. So I don't have a whole lot of knitting to talk about today. I do have a little bit more chatter than normal, but I'm just going to jump right in by saying I have no finished objects and I didn't work on anything. Well, that's not entirely true, but last episode I think I showed you guys my Mango Tango vanilla socks that I finished, the main tube. I finished knitting the tube, and I'm planning on recording how I cut in for the heels and toes for that. Haven't gotten around to it, but I did measure, and I think it's only going to be long enough for 1 pair of socks. I was hoping to get 2, but actually it turns out that that wasn't a full skein of yarn like I thought it was. The finished tube only weighs like 53 grams or something like that, and a normal skein of fingering weight yarn is about 100 grams. So I don't remember using that ever, but maybe it only came with 50 grams as a sock set. I don't know. But anyway, I haven't sat down and recorded that, so no progress was made on those at all. I have in my little TARDIS bag, there's a Dalek on the back. I realized that whenever I say this is like my Dalek bag, I always show this side. And if I say that it's my TARDIS bag, I show this side. So some of you guys probably think that I'm crazy when I talk about this bag, but that's okay. So I have in here my vanilla sock for the sock knit along that's happening at my local yarn store. This marker is where I was at the last episode of the podcast. And then this is where I'm at now. So I'm maybe not even halfway through the foot, but I think that that is just because I don't really care for magic loop, but I also don't have any other sock needles available, so that's where we're at right now. But I do really like this colorway, although it's not really patterning like I thought that it would. It doesn't look anything like the label, so I think maybe my gauge is off or something, but that's okay. I'm happy with the fabric that I get when I knit socks. I have never checked what my sock gauge is, so I have no idea. That could probably be why the pattern isn't showing up in my socks, but it doesn't really bother me, so yeah. Alright, and then next up for works in progress is a new cast on. This is in my pig bag from, I think it's Peanut Butter Jelly Knits or something like that. So I did a poll on Instagram a few weeks ago for you guys to help me decide which yarn to cast on next, and you guys chose the Matchstick by Hedgehog Fibers, which this is what it looks like in the cake. It is so pretty. I love this color. But I don't really see Matchstick. Like, that's not the name that comes to me when I look at that skein of yarn. I don't know. I think, I'll show you the back of my sock first, that the colors on here make me think of like a beach. Because So you've got like your grays and your blues, but then your pops of like brown for the sand. I don't know. It looks beachy to me, but what do you guys think? Is it beachy or matchstick? Let me know in the comments below. And then this I cast on the Socks for Dad pattern by Kay Litton. It's just a really simple knit purl texture pattern that I'm really, really enjoying. This is pretty much all that I've worked on since the last episode of the podcast. I cast it on, I think, Thursday, maybe? And this is how far I got. So I am about, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40. So I have about 20 rounds to go for the foot, and then I will do the toe and bind off. So hopefully this will be done by the next episode, and I will have cast on the second sock. But we all know how that goes. I usually think it's a pretty attainable goal, and then by the time I get to the next episode of the podcast, it hasn't happened. But what can you do? I think Ben's on the phone. I don't know if you guys can hear him talking. So next up, I have one acquisition, which is just some reinforcing thread. Oops, it has stuff on it. Reinforcing thread that I ordered for those wool socks that I was talking to you guys about in the last episode. And then also I thought it would be good for reinforcing heels and toes on Ben's socks. Usually his heels wear out. His heels and then like the bottom of his foot wear out really quickly. So hopefully if I start using that, and I don't remember the brand, but I found it on Webs. So if you go to yarn.com and type in reinforcing thread, you should be able to find it. I think I got the gray color. Right, and then next up for books, I finished Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas. I wasn't impressed. I think I only gave it like 2, maybe 3 stars on Goodreads. I didn't really care for it. It took me forever to finish it. I finished it while we were driving to Sandusky, Ohio last weekend, which I'll talk about more in the chat segment, but I listened to an hour of it on the way there and then an hour on the way back, and that was enough to finish it. And my husband really enjoyed it, but he only listened to the last 2 hours of it. Like, I had to sit through the whole thing and I wasn't impressed. And he came in kind of towards the end where things were finally happening. So I don't know. I didn't like it, but he did. So there's that. And then I think I mentioned this before, that I was going to read Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I did start reading it. I'm about halfway through and I'm really enjoying it so far. I just, as usual, haven't had as much time to read as I would like to, but I don't see that changing anytime soon, which I will also talk about later in the episode. But when I finished Lost in the Neverwoods, that was an audiobook, so I started a new audiobook while we were driving to Akron, Ohio on Monday. We started that, and it's called Give Me the Child by Mel McGrath. This one is way better than Lost in the Neverwoods, and I think I'm only like maybe 45 minutes in, and I'm really enjoying that one a lot. So usually I listen to my audiobooks while I'm working, but recently I have found the Supernatural podcast hosted by Ashley Flowers on Spotify, which my friend had told me about before, and I listened to the one episode that she told me to, and it was really interesting, and then I just never listened to it again. But I started listening to that a couple days ago while I'm working, and I'm really enjoying that as well. So if you're into like spooky, like creepy audio podcasts, you might want to check that out. I will link it in the show notes below. And then moving into chat, so much has gone on in the past couple of weeks that is kind of ridiculous. I think I told you guys about how our fridge went out, it stopped working. We got that fixed, and then like a couple days after that got fixed, our hot water heater stopped working. So we had to replace that, and so that was super fun. Not really, but so that happened. It's all fixed now. We have hot water now. But it just, I don't know. One of the crappy things about being a homeowner is that you have to pay for that stuff yourself and fix it as soon as possible after it happens, or things could get worse. So, but anyway, into a more fun conversation. We went to Cedar Point last weekend. I don't know if you guys can tell. I don't think the camera's really showing, but I got pretty burnt. My nose probably got the worst of it, and it's like peeling really bad. So, which I know is gross, but yeah. We basically bathed ourselves in sunscreen in the parking lot, and we didn't burn as bad as we thought we were, because you know how you can like feel the sunburn as it's happening and you're like, oh, oops. But we both got burned a little bit, but we had a ton of fun. We love riding roller coasters, so we don't get to do that very often where we live now, but when I was in high school, we lived like 45 minutes away from King's Dominion. So I think we were 45 minutes away from King's Dominion and Busch Gardens. So like my family would go there all the time. We had season passes to King's Dominion. So I was really starting to feel like I really missed that. So we decided to just go, and we had a really good time. So another thing I want to talk about today was just how awesome like the knitting community is, and how exciting it is that I get to be a part of it. And I wanted to talk about Alexandra from the Fiberbound podcast mentioned me on her podcast, and a viewer found me through her podcast, and she sent me a message on Instagram, and I found out that we actually live in the same area. We both live in the same city, and we met up, and she was super nice and invited me to her knitting group. So I am really excited. This is the first knitting group I've ever been a part of, and the first meeting that I will be a part of is tomorrow. So I'm really excited to go, and I just think that it's really awesome how we are able to find each other and connect in that way through knitting and through the YouTube community and all of that. So I just wanted to share. I thought that was really awesome how that all worked out. Yeah, and then I think that's it for chatter. I do have a shop update coming up that I think some of you will already know about, but I'm hoping that you're as excited as I am. If you follow Natalie, she is the host of the Love and Stitches podcast, and every year she hosts Sock Week, which coincides with Shark Week, and basically it's a knitting challenge to knit a sock in a week. And all of this stuff is really fun, and it's shark themed, and this year I'm a sponsor. So I have been hard at work ordering supplies, cutting fabric, getting everything ready for a shop update, which will be June 25th at 9 a.m. for shark bags. And you guys, I think this is awesome. So they are my normal medium-sized bags with the handle. There are sharks on the outside. And then on the inside, I just have this fun line, like striped fabric. That is awesome, and you can kind of see the sharks through it, which I think is really neat. And then another fun part of these bags is the charm. Normally I use a rose for my zipper pulls, but this time I got sharks, and I just think they're so fun, and they add something a little bit different. They make them a little bit more of a special, like limited edition type thing. So yeah, I have those, and then I don't have a finished bag in this color yet, but there are pink sharks, which I love, and I think that if there's any left over, I will keep one of these, but the fabric on the inside is the same. It's the blue stripes. So yeah, I know that Natalie has a list that she is keeping up to date with all of the sponsors. I will also link that in the show notes down below in case you're interested. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I have 9 days to make as many bags as I can. So yeah, it'll be an adventure for sure. So I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I share a new podcast every 2 weeks, so until next time, happy knitting. Bye!